Has your reality been feeling weird lately? Are you experiencing a lot of deja vu, strange dreams, and a lot of energy moving through your body? Do you want to know how to tell if you have successfully quantum leapt into a new reality? I'm going to tell you the signs that show you that you have quantum leapt successfully to a new reality. I'm going to tell you my own story about quantum leaping and things you can do to actually quantum leap to your desired reality. Hey, what's up? I'm Alyssa. If you're new here, and I remind you of who you truly are and remind you of your spiritual gifts so you can go on and create a magical life because we are meant to live a life we most desire. Okay, let's back up a little bit. What is quantum jumping, timeline leaping, timeline shifting? You've probably heard these phrases before. This is based on the idea that there are many parallel universes existing right now where you exist having totally different lives. Actually, some of the lives are very similar to the ones you're living now, and some are different. It's the idea that when we align energetically with the frequency of the version of us that is living in that reality, we can jump to that reality and that becomes our life. A lot of scientists actually say that this is true, that there are like infinite number of realities and we are existing on parallel timelines and we can jump between them. And I'm here to tell you it's true because I've done it and I have had so many weird things happen to me that I know that it wasn't just my life was a little different. Like I actually quantum leapt because I have communicated with different versions of myself. And when you get into communication with the version of you that is living your dream reality, you get clues on how to shift your energy, your beliefs, your thought patterns, and your actions to align on that frequency that they're living on, and then you jump. What determines what reality you're living in? What determines your reality is the dominant thoughts you're thinking, the vibrations you're feeling, the beliefs you have, the actions you take, and the choices you make. When we shift these things to a degree, we can jump to a different reality. And all of these things have to be in alignment to shift because that version of you that's living in a parallel timeline is going to be thinking different thoughts, having different feelings, vibrating at a different frequency, has different beliefs, and makes different choices. How do you know that? Because if you had all the same beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and actions that they had, you would be living the same life as them. If there is a life that you can imagine that you desire, there's a version of you already living it. And those desires are actually that version of you calling you towards it, saying that this is possible for you. So here are some signs you might experience when you're quantum jumping. These are things that I have experienced. You might be getting a lot of deja vu right before you quantum jump. You might feel dizzy, sort of out of sorts, kind of like foggy headed, almost like as if you're under the influence of something when you're totally sober. I also experienced a lot of this feeling like I was falling into my body, almost feeling the shifts between the energy of the different realities. Because when you're quantum jumping, you are, like I said, aligning your frequency to that reality. Because your energy is not normally calibrated to that energy, to that frequency, it's going to make you feel off. Sometimes people experience ascension symptoms, which can look like feeling sick, getting sick, having a head cold, being really tired. I often feel really hungry when I'm quantum jumping, and I think it's just the amount of energy that I'm using, but that also has to do with my human design type. There's different things where you use different amounts of energy based on things in your chart, but that's not what we're talking about today. But you might experience things that feel really weird, where you feel off, something feels off to you, and like I said, you feel this foggy feeling, or I also sometimes experience what almost feels like anxiety in my stomach, but I'm not anxious about anything. And it's just my body recalibrating to that new frequency. Why do we go through these things? Because our vibration wasn't at this frequency before. We're not used to being at this frequency. And when we're doing the work in order to quantum jump, our body has to align with the frequency. And one of the most important things you can do when you're quantum jumping is to regulate your nervous system. This is because your nervous system is not used to this new level of energy. And if you don't, like I said, you can feel sick, it can feel really weird, or sometimes you won't stay in that reality because you will self-sabotage it by not being able to hold on energetically to that reality that you want, and you'll go backwards. You will stop thinking the things that you're thinking, your beliefs. If your beliefs aren't totally there, believing that you can have this reality, you won't be able to hold on to them, and beliefs create reality. If you're not able to sustain that vibrational frequency, you'll just go back into your old life. So while you're quantum jumping or wanting to quantum jump, it's very crucial that you regulate your nervous system and also regulate your beliefs. Like, get yourself in alignment with the reality you want to live. This is why it's so important to do things like visualize, or if you like making vision boards, or just even daydream about the reality that you're jumping to, and make it normal to your subconscious mind that you live in that reality, because this starts to prove to yourself that it's possible for you, and it starts to feel familiar. And we need things to feel familiar for us to have a good quantum leap experience, to have it go smoothly. What are some ways you can regulate your nervous system? Meditation, yoga, grounding. I like to spend a lot of time at the beach. I feel like the beach really grounds me. EFT tapping is really great for regulating your nervous system. A lot of times when you do quantum leap to a new level in your life, let's say you get a lot more money, or you quantum leap to the reality where you have your dream relationship, some part of you might not fully feel safe there yet. So you need to do things to regulate your nervous system to show you that this is your new reality. Other signs that you have quantum jumped to a new reality are your thoughts are different. You know how you have an inner voice in your head? Oftentimes it's an inner critic, maybe beating you up or telling you you're not enough, or whatever the negative side of it is. And consciously, when we're doing manifestation, quantum leaping work, it's really important to change our thoughts and our beliefs about ourselves and believe that we can have what we want. When you quantum leap to a new reality, you actually have different thoughts. And I don't mean the kind of thoughts that you are putting into your head like an affirmation. It's not conscious. But when I've quantum leapt, and I noticed this the most in yoga because that's when a lot of downloads and stuff come through, I realized that my thoughts are completely different. You start to have different thoughts, and these are not thoughts you're consciously trying to think. When doing affirmations or visualization or things that we're consciously trying to do to change our reality, this is different. You start to notice that you have different thoughts, and this is because you're actually a different version of yourself. You're having the thoughts that that version of you would have. And you have those thoughts because that version of you has a different set of beliefs, has a different set of beliefs about themselves, has different thoughts, because thoughts are part of what creates our reality. Belief is also what creates our reality. That version of you is set at a different vibrational set point, so they are going to experience life differently. And when you are quantum leaping, you will start to notice that your thoughts are more positive. Well, assuming you're quantum leaping to a higher, better reality, but that's what we're doing here, right? We don't want to quantum leap to a less good reality. So your thoughts are different. They're more confident. They're more on board with what you're doing. And the other thing is, they're more used to the life that you're living. When you quantum leap to a new reality, before we have the thing that we want, let's say it's the relationship, there might be a sort of longing or a strong desire to have this thing. And desire is not bad. It just says there's a version of you that's already living that life that has that manifestation. But the version of you that has an amazing relationship, it's more familiar to them and it's more normal to them. And that's why it is their experience. So when you do quantum leap, you're more calibrated. That version of you is more calibrated to that relationship that you want. So it's not like as exciting as it seems as when you want the relationship. Not that the relationship's not exciting and beautiful and amazing, but your thoughts are coming to it from a more grounded place, because that's just the way that version of you lives life. It's just normal to them. The same thing is true for money. That's why you have to calibrate your nervous system, because that version of you that is abundant is used to being abundant and has different thoughts about money, has different beliefs about money, takes different actions with money. Another thing that you might experience when you're quantum leaping that I did, and this was the weirdest one, you might experience having different memories from people in your life. You've heard of the Mandela effect, right? How Looney Tunes never had two O's. I think that's the reality I'm living in this version. And we thought it was with two O's, but it's really Luney or something. I always thought it was two O's. I remember with the Looney and the Tunes drawing faces as a kid on the letters. And it's so weird to me that, like, apparently that's a Mandela effect thing. A Mandela effect is when you parallel jump to different realities based on the idea that when Nelson Mandela, some people remembered him dying in jail, and some people, I think in this version of reality, he didn't. So there's this thing called the Mandela effect where we have different memories of things happening. There's also, you can Google it, there's things like Fruit Loops or the Berenstain Bears. That was my favorite one. Those book about the bears. I guess it's like Bernstein Bears, but I remember being Berenstain, or maybe it's opposite. I don't know reality I'm in right now. But the point is, you have different memories from other people. And you will often have different memories from people that are closest to you if they are involved in this quantum leap. For example, my partner now, the biggest quantum leap I made 3 years ago, we were friends like 16 years ago. Good friends. And he had a tattoo on his arm. And I remember it vividly because I would always like mess with it. I thought it was really cute. So we didn't see each other for 16 years, and I went through this whole quantum leap thing. I timeline jumped realities, went through all the symptoms that I'm telling you about, the deja vus, the feeling really weird in my body. But the weirdest one was this. When we reconnected and had dinner, he didn't have the tattoo anymore. And I'm like, why did you get that tattoo removed? Like, it was so beautiful. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you used to have a koi tattoo on your fish tattoo on your arm. He's like, I never had that tattoo, but I thought about getting it, because it was close enough to this reality that I had previously been in where it was something that he wanted. It wasn't like I'm just making up like, oh, you had a tattoo of a mushroom or something. And he's like, that's something I would never get. He's like, no, I really thought about getting that tattoo. And I was like, no, you had that tattoo. And he's like, no, I didn't. And that was around the time I've had one of my biggest quantum leaps. Cut to, we're at his daughter's house for Easter. And I brought up the tattoo thing again. She's like, Dad, you always talked about getting it. So it was very close to the reality that I'm in now where he doesn't have it, but the reality before he did have it. And yes, I remember this so distinctly. But the point is, we have different memories. And we also have a few different memories about from when we knew each other 16 years ago. But he is very instrumental, or was an instrumental part of my quantum leap. That's why these memories are so shocking. Because we might have different memories than people, or things might be slightly different in our reality. But if it's not like super important to your life story, you're not going to be as aware of them, because things are shifting in your reality all the time. Like, you know, sometimes like a house looks different, or you remember somebody, like you remember something about somebody and it seems slightly different, but you're like, I'm probably just making that up in my head. No, it's probably you quantum leapt. There's a house in my neighborhood that, is totally different, but everything else in my reality is the same. And I noticed that happened when I was doing a lot of manifestation work too. Now we're in a reality with my dog. Okay, so the people that are most important to you, you might have different memories than them. So you might experience different memories from the people in your life. That is one of the things. The other thing that is not as fun if you don't know what's going on is you can feel a little anxious. And like I said, that's about your nervous system recalibrating to the new reality, because that version of you is living on a different energetic frequency. So you might feel, like I said, I sometimes feel anxiety in my stomach, but it's not really anxiety. Now I know what it is. Now I know the difference. But you might feel just like off, like you're in a weird dream. You might have very vivid dreams that give you messages. When I made my quantum leap 3 years ago, how I made it was I was getting dreams about the reality I'm living in now, but I was not aware why I was dreaming about this life. I had these dreams on and off for 3 years, just little pockets of my life now, like the house I'm in, the partner I'm with, like little things that didn't make sense because I wasn't consciously trying to call in all those things, although my soul was. And it wasn't until I fully jumped to this reality that I'm like, oh my God, that was a version of me telling me you can have this better life. You can have this beautiful home. You can have this partner that you want. You can have this love that you want. And I'm like, it happened. So how do you quantum leap? Well, you quantum leap by, one way is through healing. This is doing deep shadow work where you are looking at your beliefs about yourself, and you have to face why you don't believe you can live in that reality, because that version of you does not have the same beliefs as you. That version of you is accessible to you, and the reason you have the desire is because that version of you is calling you towards it. But if you want to manifest, to jump to a reality where you have a great relationship, Just got confirmation. Did you hear that? If you're wanting to jump to a reality where you have a great relationship, you might, and you're not in a great relationship, you're going to have to look at your beliefs about what you believe about relationships, men, women, people, what you believe about yourself being in a relationship, look at your parents' relationships. You're going to have to do shadow work and look at your beliefs as to what the belief is that makes you think you can't have that in your life. You're also going to want to change your thoughts, and this has a lot to do with beliefs. You're going to want to consciously affirm to yourself the new truths that you have. And when you find yourself like starting to doubt that you can live in that reality, you're going to want to reframe that. You want to raise your frequency. How do you do that? Well, one way is get rid of anything that lowers your frequency. This can be people, places, or things that you're holding on to. It can be outdated beliefs that you have. Oftentimes we're trying to call in a reality that is a higher vibration than us, but we're being dragged down by the energy of the vibration we're in right now. That could be the people you're around, the beliefs that they have, because we actually absorb beliefs of the people around us. This is why like the top 5 people you hang out with the most is super important, because we literally absorb other people's thoughts, and we also absorb their emotions. So everything you believe is not yours, and all your emotions are not only yours. If you're wanting to quantum leap to a new reality, it's possible. You got to look at your beliefs, you got to look at your emotions, you got to look at your feelings, because feelings are part of what creates reality. There are a lot of ways to change your feelings. I like to use music for quantum leaping. When I have made my biggest quantum leap 3 years ago, there was one song that I specifically picked, and I would listen to it in the car, listen to it when I was walking my dog, and I would just imagine this one song. It represented a vibration of the life that I was quantum leaping to, that I live in now. And I would just feel the feeling of that song and imagine how things would be. And like I said, I could see what my life could be because I was having dreams of it, because there was a version of me calling me towards it. So changing your vibration with music is really good. Plant medicine is something that has helped me shift my vibration so much, but that's because that is actually shadow work. And it made me look at a lot of beliefs about myself, about life, about reality, and align with that higher version of myself. And everyone's favorite, actions. That version of you that has the dream partner, has the dream job, is super abundant, has the dream body, has the dream home, whatever it is, they are most likely taking different actions than you because they have different beliefs than you. They are making different choices than you are making because their reality is different and the beliefs that they have about themselves are different. And they are also taking the actions, like if you want to have a certain career or something, but like the actions scare you, there's certain actions that version of you is taking every day because they have that career. If you want to be a coach or a actor or an entertainer or a writer, whatever it is that you want to be, like the version of you that's a writer is writing every day. The version of you that's an entertainer is making videos. The version of you that's in that dream relationship is maybe dressing better because they feel good about themselves. There are actions that you need to take, but what you need to do is connect with that version of you that is living on that timeline and ask them what they do. And I know this sounds almost too simple, but like I said, my connection came through my dreams. But you can also just close your eyes and set the intention and think about what it is, what reality you want to jump to. And then ask yourself, connect with that version of you, like picture them in your mind, picture what they're doing, and then ask them what they're doing. And you might not hear it back right away. That's the thing about getting answers for our higher self. I think, because I used to think this, I think we often expect that we're just going to like hear it right away, and you might, but you might hear it later in a song or something someone says. Like when we connect with our higher selves, it's always communicating with us. Keep track of your dreams. Dreams were instrumental for me. Make notes of what the messages you're getting in your dreams. And here's a really great hack. I voice note my dreams to ChatGPT to ask what the deeper meaning is, and it blows my mind. Because, like I said, your higher self, if you ask the parallel version of you what they're doing, they will answer you if you make the time to connect, and they might connect with you in your dreams, but it might be in a way that you don't fully understand. And it might be facing your fears, because that version of you doesn't have the same fears that you have. That version of you has different boundaries than you have. So you see, your whole life kind of has to be restructured in a way, because if it was structured in the way that that version of you was living, you would be living that life. So feeling dizzy, getting a lot of deja vu, having a lot of weird dreams, have ascension symptoms, you might have already quantum leapt. But if you haven't yet, connect with that version of you, close your eyes, ask them what they're doing, what they believe about life, how they're feeling. Try to get a feel of what their dominant vibration is and do as much as you can to get closer to their beliefs, get closer to the feeling that they're feeling, get closer to taking the actions that they're taking, and you will quantum leap. And just remember, if you desire something in your life, there is a version of you that is living in that reality. And because of that, it is absolutely possible for you. It's you living in that reality. And what you need to do is align with them, and you will jump. And it will be better than you could have even imagined. I wish that for you. Much love.